Hello, everybody, and welcome to our weekly Tuesday Sage Intacct demonstration. I am Neil Grabarnik, our Sage Intacct sales consultant, and a big thanks to Mike Chong, is our Intacct solutions consultant who filled in last minute for Matthew, who does these weekly demos regularly. So thank you so much. Mike knows the Intacct solution like the back of his hand as well, so good hands for this demonstration. A quick overview for today, about 5 minutes for me and 40 minutes from Mike, and then some time for your questions. Before we move to the demo, just a little information about Vision 33. Selecting the right software is important, but the right partner is the real difference maker for your business. A few things Vision 33 brings to the table: extensive support and industry experience. We have many longtime customers who rely on our partnership to support their business, and we're a platinum Sage partner and a leader in the Sage community. Implementation is just the beginning of your journey. Vision 33 is here for long-term support and customer care. Ultimately, it is our consistency, reliability, focus on excellent customer experiences, and leveraging our knowledge to help you transform accounting frustrations into success and strategic growth. And like Sage, Vision 33 is a global company, but we like to say we operate as a small business. Our main operations are in the US, Canada, and the UK, and we have certified consultants to serve you locally. We are headquartered in Newfoundland. Here are some of our excellent customers running Sage Intacct. They come from all over the spectrum, including nonprofit, SaaS, technology, professional services, and more. I'm sure most of you have done your initial research on Sage Intacct, but here are a few highlights. As you can see, Sage Intacct supports several industries and offers industry-specific functionality. Vision 33's biggest customer footprint is nonprofit, where we have approximately 35% of our client base. Building expertise in these verticals really helps us guide our customers down the right path with their implementation, including your sector's best practices for reporting. And here's a quick snapshot of Sage's global reach. Sage Intacct is actually rated the #1 accounting software in the world for the last decade by G2 and Gartner. So people who actually use the software, there's millions of customers worldwide. On average, customers cut their close time by up to 70%. Here's another snapshot that shows Sage Intacct's global reach, serving customers in 80 plus countries and in 130 plus functional currencies. And if you're interested in the underlying numbers, Sage Intacct is as secure as it gets. You no longer need to worry about backups, downtime, and costly upgrades. It just works all the time. And Sage Intacct isn't a solution that was retrofitted for the cloud. It's a cloud native solution from its first line of code. So it's an affordable, easy to use solution for finance teams that need only specialized finance tools. And it's also a modular solution, which means you pay only for what you need now and can add more functionality when you need it. And we call Sage Intacct a best of breed solution, and its open API makes it easy to seamlessly integrate with other best of breed solutions. And for integration, Sage has what's called the Sage Intacct Marketplace, filled with pre-built integrations to other best-of-breed solutions for CRM, e-commerce, and so much more. But if the solution you want to integrate isn't on the Sage Intacct Marketplace, Vision 33 can build the integration for you with Saltbox, which is our exclusive cloud-based integration solution built by our automation and integration experts. And just a final word about Sage Intacct's embedded AI. While it's not built into our demo environment just yet, we want to introduce you to Sage Copilot. So basically, Sage Copilot is like getting a very smart productivity assistant. It gives you answers you can trust and tools for a smoother, faster month-end close. So be sure to ask your consultant about Sage Copilot when they follow up with you. And now I'll turn it over to Mike for the demo. Thanks, everyone.
Hi, everyone. My name is Mike Chong. I'm an implementation consultant at Vision 33. My background has been in the manufacturing and accounting world the last 15 years before I made the switch to implementation approximately 5 years ago. So what we see here, this is our default screen in Sage Intacct. When we first log in, you'll see some items here. So starting on the left here, you'll notice there's a 2025 release 4. So what this means is these are new updates that Sage Intacct provides us once a quarter. So if we read the notes here, there's different highlights that we can read on the left column here. And it's also based on different regions. So we have the United Kingdom, the US, if there's all regions, they're all region specific. So for us in Canada, if we only wanted to see the updates that happened in Canada, we can click on Canada and it'll tell us everything that has been updated in the system. And actually, I'll just take a step back. So, like Neil had mentioned, that Sage Intacct is a native cloud environment, which means that as long as you have access to an internet browser and you have internet, you can log into your company at any time, anywhere you are. Any servers or server maintenance, all that is gone because it's on the cloud. Everything is safe and secure on the Sage data centers, which we're partnered with AWS and Microsoft. So with the release calendar, these are all hard coded. So for 2026, there's an update for each quarter. These dates are hard coded, so you can always expect when the update's going to happen. They are usually done during the weekend when you're not operational, and even if you are, it'll happen during the back end. So you never have to worry about not being able to work within your system while the updates are being done. The nice thing about the updates is you don't have to do the updates yourself. Sage Intacct does the updates for you. So that takes away from having someone inside the company doing the updates or hiring a third party to do the updates for you. It's all done for you on the back end. Where I feel like Intacct shines from other accounting systems is their financial reporting capabilities. Not that other systems can't build reports, but I think it's the ease that we're able to build reports within Intacct. You don't need any type of coding experience and whatnot. It's very easy to isolate the data that you need in order to drive the decision makings of your organization. So what the reason why it's easy is the backbone of what makes the reporting easy is what we call dimensions in Intacct. So out of the box, everyone gets all these dimensions called class, department, employees, locations, entities, vendors, and customers. And we don't have to be married to any of these dimension names. We can always rename them. So if we wanted to call class the division or something else, we have the flexibility to do that. If we wanted to call our vendor suppliers, we can change that terminology as well. But what's so special about dimensions is that it essentially eliminates the sub accounts and it helps to reduce the size of our chart of accounts. So, for example, I've had some clients where they had 10 or 11 pages, maybe up to 800 GL accounts, and each GL account would have a sub account for each of the departments. But what Intacct does is we take the nominal GL account. So if we go to, I'll just turn this off here for a sec. So if we look at any of our expense accounts, for example, so for salaries and wages, we just have the one nominal GL account. And when we're coding, we can, let me just drop down to an entity and let me just show you if we were to post a bill here. What we can do is if we add a bill and we select our vendor, put in our bill number. So this customer here already has a GL account that's assigned to them because this vendor uses the same GL account every time, if not most times. And what we do is when we take this nominal account and we put in the transaction amount here, instead of having the sub accounts, we have these dimensions like the class. So we can select, is this a product one class? If does it belong to a specific project? We can select that project. If it belongs to a specific department, we can select that department. And what happens is when we're posting these entries, we can report on any of these dimensions. So if we wanted to see a P&L based on a project or a class or a department, we can easily do that within Intacct. And by having these dimensions, as you can see, we can cut down the number of GL accounts without having those sub accounts anymore. So I'm going to post this. Line to be billable. Okay, let me just go back here. And so if we were to look at some reports, there's some data that's in here already. If I was to go to a report and a financial report. And I'll go run a P&L. So here I know there's data up to in 2019. So here in this demo company, we have multiple locations. So you can report on all locations, or if you have specific locations that you want to group together, you can do that. For this example here, we're grouping all our US locations here. And if we just run that and click OK, this will be a P&L on all our US companies, US locations. You'll notice that some of the font coloring is blue and some is in black. Anything that is highlighted in blue gives us the ability to drill down. So if I was to click on this revenue subscriptions for 42,000, this would bring us to the GL postings here. And so if we were to look at the OE subscriptions, we can further click down on that and it'll bring us straight to the original source of this journal entry here. So very powerful tool being able to drill down. If we wanted to see a specific department, so I'll just go back to the report. We can select, okay, I only want to see our services. And if we drill down just the services, we can run a P&L based on the services. And you notice that the amounts have changed here, right? So this is an out-of-the-box report. We can also build custom reports if you have different account groupings, and that can be easily done. If we want to look at our general ledger reports, if we go to our GL and start date, I'll do January 1st, 2019 and January 31st, 2019. If we pick out just our P&L accounts here, and we run a report. This will show us all the transactions for the month of January 2019, all the transactions where the GLs were hit. And of course, anything highlighted in blue, we can drill down on. And you'll notice these 200, so department 200, location 100. If we don't know what that means and you wanted to know, okay, what is the name of this department or what is the name of this location, we can go back to the GL report and we can filter out that dimension here. So right now we have the department ID and location ID. If I wanted to show the department name and the location name and take out the IDs, and if we view that, so now you see the department name. This is all pertaining to services, sales, which location these transactions belong to. And if you only wanted to see, okay, I want to isolate just the sales, we can do some further filtering and say, I only want to see sales. And this would show me all the GL transactions that belongs to the sales department here. So out of the box with Intacct, it comes with the dashboards, our financial reporting, cash management, GL, AP, AR, also order entry that's tied to accounts receivable, and there's also purchasing that's tied to accounts payable. If you have purchase orders, we have the ability to create requisitions and have them converted to PO before an invoice gets created. But we also don't have to follow that workflow. If you only start at a purchase order, we can start at a purchase order, and once the goods come in or the services are done, we can convert that to an invoice and it flows right into AP and we pay the bills as normal. For the AR side, order entry, we can also create sales orders, quotes, and we can customize the different workflows as you need. We don't have to follow the quote order to invoice and whatnot. We can just have order to invoice or quote to invoice, however you like. And we can also change that terminology to fit your workflow needs and your own terminology. In cash management, we also have the ability to process credit cards. So we can separate the credit card transactions from our day-to-day AP bills. We can also integrate them and have them reconciled as if it was a bank account, or if we just reconcile it as a normal credit card, we can also do that. If we have multiple banks and we do bank transfers, there's a function called bank transfers where we can select the two banks if we click create here. We can say, okay, we're transferring money from bank 100 to 200, and we can put an amount in and save. And that it's as easy as that. If the banks belong to different entities, if we set up our system correctly between the entities, the intercompany transactions will be created automatically on the back end for us. For dashboards, so is quite powerful. There's out of the box dashboards, but we can also create our own dashboards here. So if we were to look at our CFO dashboard, this is pre-configured out of the box. So here we can put anything we want on the dashboard that's based on a financial report. So here, revenue, if we're looking at December 31st, 2019, this tells us our revenue is down this quarter by this percent. It also has a P&L with the actuals versus budgets that comes from the financial reports. We can also drill down if we want to see, okay, what made up our revenue of this 932,000. If we click on that, it'll drill down right to the GL report. And if there are anomalies that we want to take a look at, say, for example, this 14,000, why was this so high? You can take a look at that and it'll drill down to straight to the journal entry. It'll also tell you who had did the journal entry and the date that this journal entry was done. And anytime if there's an attachment, say you want to put an attachment as your backup, this one doesn't, this example here doesn't, but if it does, we can click on that attachment and we can see the backup for this entry here. So very nice feature to have, especially when it comes to audit time. You can make it mandatory for attachments for each transaction so that when you do have an audit, you can assign your auditors a read only and they can go into your AP and look at your bills, and the bills could have an attachment. If the attachment is mandatory, you can click on the bill and click on the attachment to see what that bill looks like. There's also approvals within Intacct, sorry, where if vendors are created, we can have an approval process where if it's created, someone can oversee, okay, there's a vendor created, is it okay? If there's edits to the vendor, say if you have the vendor banking information where EFTs are sent and something gets changed, we can have approval process saying, okay, someone's changed the billing information. Is it okay? And if it's okay, you can accept that. We can also approve bills. So someone can enter a bill and before it gets posted, it gets submitted to the approver, and the approver has the ability to go over and review the bill before they approve it, which then gets posted to the GL. If they don't approve it, they can decline it, and it goes back to the person that created that bill entry, and they can correct it accordingly and before resubmitting again. So that saves some time from, I guess, the old process where you get a bill and you give that physical bill to the manager and they sign off on it before coming back to you to process. They can simply come in and log in and approve the bills right into the system. So if they're out of the office, they're out to lunch or on vacation, or out of office in a meeting, as long as they have the ability to log in into Intacct, they have the ability to approve the bills. There's also payment approvals. So after the bill has been posted, we can submit request bills to be paid. And once that gets requested, whomever has the role to be able to approve the bills to be paid, similarly to bill approvals, they can come into the approved payments. And of course, there's nothing here right now, but if there was a bill that needed to be approved, they would come in here and look at that bill and they can either approve or decline that bill. There's also other additional modules that we can add to the core modules. So those modules would be projects. So if we have any projects where we bill by time and material or fixed fee, we have the ability to set projects up. So here, if we look at this general ERP implementation, for example, so we can set up a project ID, give it a name, and which customer it belongs to so that if we're doing a fixed fee or time and material billing, when we do the billing, it would automatically be linked to this customer and we would bill that. Here, there's also a calculation percent complete. So based on when we want to bill the client, we can set that up for each of the projects. We can also assign project managers, consultants, whichever employees are working on a specific project, you can add them to the project and what their billing rates are and whatnot. You can also assign tasks, what tasks are pertain to a project. You can have a project summary, which tells you an overview of the overall project. So the number of hours billed, what the revenue is, what expenses has gone to this project, if there's labor costs, what the profit margin is, and how does that look compared to the budget. And for each project, you can also assign a project manager. So anything you can set up approval processes if a bill is being posted and it pertains to this project, we can set up an approval process where this project manager has to look at that bill to approve or decline if they're okay to post that bill towards their project. Another additional module that Intacct offers is expenses. So if we want to separate employee expense reports from the AP, there's an additional module for that. And we can have a separate approval process for approving expenses and whatnot. There's also inventory. As long as it's not manufacturing inventory, this would be a good module to capture other inventory related items. If you have items that are non-inventory, we can also create non-inventory items and we can track it based on those items as well. There's also taxes. If you calculate taxes, there's the out of the box HST, GST in Canada. If there's no GST or if there's custom taxes, I know there's a lot of nonprofits that have special tax rules. Intacct can create those custom tax percentages for you so that when you're posting bills or creating invoices and whatnot, you can apply those custom taxes to those vendors or those customers. There's also contracts as another module. Budgets is nice. We can import the budgets into Intacct. And if we go to our financial reports, there are a few out of the box P&L versus budget. So as long as we select the budget that we want to compare it to. So here, the P&L, this has been separated by the different departments here. So another nice thing here is the way this P&L setup is it's separated by each department. So under the admin, the IT, marketing, sales, services, anything that wasn't tagged to a department, there's also a column for that. So if there's anything that's missed, you can see those amounts there that haven't been included, or if that was purposely done, you'd be able to see that as well here. Okay. And if you have timesheets, there's also the module for timesheets where you can keep track of your staff timesheets, or your employees can also come in and put in their timesheets here as well. Intacct also has the capabilities of sending EFTs. So in our vendors, if we look at our vendors here, we can enable bank file payments so that when it comes time to paying your vendors, as long as we've set up their EFT information, we put in their account name and their banking information. When we go to pay the bills, Intacct can generate a bank file, and then that bank file can be uploaded to your bank, and the bank will pay those vendors for you. And that concludes the high-level overview of Sage Intacct. I hope this has given you a good perspective of what Intacct can do for you. And if there's any questions, I can take questions.
Oh, looks like we have a question actually
Oh,
here. Did you say that the taxes was an add-on or is it out of the box?
taxes are out of the box.
And I guess we're good to go. Thank you everyone for joining us today.
Thanks for your time.
Take care.